one object, but it is contemplating on all the on many things. Like for example, when you go from here to India, when you go from here to India, you have to go through many places, and you have to know all these places. From here you get to go to this place, and from there get to that place. So you have to you have to know all these places, and through that then you go to India. Go to India. So this is what the meditation on Geshe Lama enlightenment is like. And this is actually this kind of meditation is called glance meditation. So like if you are traveling from here to India, then if you know only the path from here to Bodhana, then then there's no way you can reach India. So just like that, in the meditation on Lamrim or Geshe the path to enlightenment is same. So meditation on Geshe the path to enlightenment is that from the beginning till you gain enlightenment. So all this there are many stages until you gain enlightenment. So you have to practice all this and meditate on all these stages gradually. So that's called meditation, glance meditation. So there's another analytical meditation. Analytical meditation is is quite important, because some people they don't believe in analytical meditation. They just do the placement meditation. But in Buddhism it's very important. Before doing the placement meditation, you have to proceed with analytical meditation. So actually, this analytical meditation is same like when you buy the things. Like before you buy the thing, you check the things very carefully. Check the things very carefully, and that's like analytical meditation. And when you find the thing is perfect and good, and then you buy it, then you have develop the mind, a very strong mind to buy it. So like when you are checking, that's like analytical meditation, and when you have resolved to buy, then that is like placement meditation. So it's same, when we're generating attachment towards something, like when we check and see whether that thing is really beautiful or not. If that thing is beautiful, first you check how it's beautiful with many using many ideas, and you check how that thing is really beautiful. And then when you have found that thing is really beautiful, then you generate attachment toward that. And also same with hatred. When you generate hatred towards somebody, then you think about why the reason. There comes the reason why you generate hatred toward that person, because that person has harmed you first time, second time, third time, like this, and then because thinking that how he has harmed you, then you generate hatred toward that person. So it's same with the teachings. First you analyze it. First you analyze it, then after seeing that this is really really something that will bring benefit to you. Then after that, then you accept it, and then you do the placement meditation on that. So therefore, there are also many words of meditation. So it's useful to know all this. And also, when one is doing the meditation, to a meditation on karma writing, then one has to focus only on one object, on a single object, and that single object, you have to focus on that single object, and all the time, when you wake up or when you go to sleep, when you're standing, or even when you're eating, you have to, focus on that object. Otherwise, if you move your object, if you move the object of meditation, then there's no way you can gain the realization of karma abiding. So there are 9 methods to gain the realization of karma abiding. Then through that methods, now when you have gained the realization of karma abiding, then you can move to other object of meditation. So if you are unable to gain the realization of karma abiding, and just even unable to focus on a single object, and unable to do other practices, then there's only is the loss of life. So the external things cannot bring real happiness to mind, and it should be the mind that it's only the means of Dharma that brings real happiness to your to one's mind. So this is what one should know. So for a person, those who have mental peace, and even they have physical pain, then even they have their pain, but because of having that mental peace, they still find very peaceful. And if one's mind is not in the state of peace, then one has the sickness of body, sickness in one's body. Then one has the suffering of not having peaceful mind, and then one gets the double suffering of having sickness in one's body. That's when so there's also different in the people, in the people. Those even he's kind, but if he doesn't practice Dharma, then he's a little bit different from the person who is kind and practicing Dharma. That makes sure you So, like if somebody who's not practicing Dharma loses money, if he lost his money, then you can't bear that, and then become mad or crazy or sometimes even kill themselves. That's when So, but if it's somebody who knows about Dharma, if even he lost money, then he can solve that problem of give the suffering that he has of lost in money by he can solve that problem by depending on the Dharma. Like there are many ways of solve their problems according to the small scope, or according to the teachings of the small scope, or according to the teachings of middle and great scopes.
Benefit that on a convention, I'm going to sing up with a power, these are some not saying, but I didn't like to sing a man legend,
So if the person who practices Dharma, who knows Dharma, if he loses something, then he, somebody steals his things away, then, and he can think that, oh, in my past life, I must have stolen the things from him. So that's how I know that I have to lose my things now. So thinking this way and thinking on karmic law of cause and effect, he can solve his problems. Even he will not gain the money, but he can still, be in a peace.
That's like I'm certain way in the corona, like the Yadam, for us, like you know, when you got them down in Mara. John Mamma, college was a usually a Pavita Yamara, and Tadeka Pesavinian, so much was another Pesavera, for I should be in there from you. You didn't come, you didn't, and there from some child,
and also by thinking, that in the cycle of existence, there's nothing is certain, nothing is certain. Even you are rich now, you can become very poor. You can become very poor, and even those who used to be like an emperor, king, very powerful king or emperor in their past life can be like a slave, in this life. So nothing is very certain in this cycle system. By thinking this way, one can again solve the problem of losing money.
Not that just about the main around the on the Kazala around the thing. The Kazala, you are from Kazala and the thing Kavachi. Put the Nisha, they are going to touch me.
So, so if it's somebody like Bodhisattva or the person who possesses the mind of enlightenment, then for that person even he will be even more happy if he loses things, because he wants to gain all, he wants to take all the loss upon himself.
That's condition that I can't carry in the other culture, so what's something from the government.
And so even that he thinks that and that whatever the problems that he encounters, and he thinks that made that problem solve the problems of other people and other beings.
And so you got the church and the point, and the comments of the power, the plan,
so so there's no other means better than Dharma to solve the problems of this life and the future lives. So therefore Dharma is really important. And also in the future lives, there's nothing can benefit more than Dharma.
But what's one more to find out more than the other. I just know that the fact that
and also not only in the future, not only in the future life, but also up to when one achieve the state of Buddhahood or state of enlightenment, and one has, there's no other better means than Dharma.
That's true. But it's not the truth. And get the bird, keep cover today. Another truth, but I don't know. The cover. You get some demand now. You get on the water. You get toss out of it. Some people use the mark like seven. You can simply finish and go in the same day. They're coming with your coming in.
So, so Dharma is very important because when we pass from this life, and when we pass away from this life, although we leave our body behind, but the mind continues, and according to the action that it has, that one has performed in this life, and then one will take rebirth, similar to that. Like for if one has performed positive action, then one will take rebirth in a happier state, and if one has performed more negative actions, then one will take rebirth in the suffering state.
What is some that I'm out of the what's there, Thanks so much. What the thing that was my train, you ask the man of joy. Some that to do so much value, not to know to some more value, you can see about the husband and by the kids, no to ask another thing about the dog. What to do on them,
so so if one has created positive actions all the time in this during one's lifetime, and at the time of death one's mind is manifesting with positive actions, then this is and then one will take rebirth in a higher realms, in the heavenly realms. And if one has created negative actions all the time in this lifetime and in the past lifetime. And at the time of death, also we manifest, our mind manifests with negative actions. Then, when we take rebirth, when we take rebirth into the lower state of rebirth, the suffering state of rebirth. So therefore, even one plays the practice now, but it's also one should, continuously carry that. So that one will carry that practice also at the time of death.
그전에는 상관도 안 해서 미국에는 뭐 평화로 오는 수도를 왜 그냥 또 수도야 그래.
So this kind of practice cannot be followed by all the human beings. So like those who doesn't have all the sense organs, although they are human beings, but they cannot practice because of lacking the organs. So, but in our case, we have all the senses, we have all the senses, we have all these complete senses. So, therefore, if we want to practice, then we can do it. So, and there are some human beings also, who regard the Dharma or the teaching as like a poison. And they never practice. But in our case, we don't regard like that. We don't think that Dharma is like a poison. So although there are some, also, even though they don't think that Dharma is like poison, but they don't, there are some also who doesn't accept the Dharma. But we, we have faith in Dharma, so that's very good. But like some people, who are always tortured by sickness or other suffering to their body, then although they have wish to practice Dharma, but because of the suffering that they undergo, they cannot practice Dharma. So like all the like the beings in the hell realms, they cannot practice Dharma because they are always tortured with the great suffering. They're always suffering. So because of that immense suffering, they cannot practice Dharma. So in our case, we don't have that great suffering like the hell beings, and although we have suffering sometimes, but also we are free from that suffering some other times. So therefore, one can practice Dharma. And also in the Holy Ghost realms, they cannot practice Dharma because they are always hungry and they are tortured by the suffering of hunger and thirst all the time. So they cannot practice Dharma there. And also, if we are hungry, for 2 or 3 days, then somebody asks to do practice, ask to practice Dharma, then we won't be able to do that. So if you have been hungry for 3 days, and if you ask to come to listen to the teaching, then you won't be able to come. So even you come to the teaching, but because of being hungry for so long time, the words can't enter into your ears. So in our case, we don't have that kind of suffering. We're not hungry for 3-4 days, so we can listen to Dharma, easily. But if like animals, then it's also again difficult because since their birth till they die, they never hear the Dharma. they don't have even a power to recite a single mantra from the time from their birth to the die. So if but we have obtained a great potential to practice Dharma through our body, speech, and mind. We have all these favorable conditions to practice Dharma, but if we do not practice, then that's our fault. So there are there are eight negative conditions and 10 favorable conditions to practice Dharma. So we are free from these eight negative eight negative conditions, and we have all these 10 favorable conditions. And the negative actions or the delusions within our mind are something which can be removed. It's not permanent staying in our mind, and it can be removed. It can be abandoned. It can be eliminated. And also we have we have the Buddha nature. So and if we do we can even gain enlightenment through eradicating all these delusions and negativities. So the nature of our mind is not non-virtue. If it is if the nature of our mind is negative action or non-virtue, then there's no way we can change into positive. It's just like if the clothes is the nature of dirt, then there's no way you can wash and clean the clothes. So it's them with the mind. The mind, the nature of mind is clear. It's clear. But it's polluted with the dirt, with the delusions. So same like when when there's the dirt on your clothes, you can wash it and make it clean again. And so in the same way, you can purify it, you can abandon the negativities, and then being into the it's the real nature of the mind, the pure state of mind. So if the nature of our mind is attachment, then we should generate attachment all the time. Even when we are eating, even when we are sleeping or lying down. At any time, we have to have attachment. But we don't have that attachment all the time. Sometimes we get angry, sometimes we are deluded. So we have different other different kinds of thoughts arising. So the state of mind is it's the same as the sky. The sky is always not filled with the clouds. The clouds come only with some conditions. In some conditions, the clouds comes in the sky, but it's not always within the sky. So the nature of mind is same like empty sky. So if the nature of the sky is to be filled with the cloud, then it should be filled with cloud all the time. All the cloud and all the time. The sky can't be free from the clouds. So therefore, since the nature of our mind is very clear, therefore we have a hope and truth during practice, one can remove these delusions, remove the delusions or the harsh state of mind, and through performing positive actions, then one can become, pure, good, like enlightened beings. And also we hope, we have the hope to practice and to be able to practice.
반대로 생겼으면 이런 거는 내려가서 그냥 뉴스가 누구는 안 그러고 있는 그런 거 컨디션 누구는 들어가 봐. 그래서 무슨 일이 있어. 나도 시험을 기본 내리는 좀 누구는 거는 저 뭐, 컨디션 무슨 일이 있어. absolutely. 왜 말을 컨디션을 모르는 찍어래. 근데 또 뭔지 지금 나왔다. 뉴스가 반대로 그거는 아주 누구 찍어서 있는 거는 생각.
So, like the enlightened beings, Buddhas and great yogi Milarepa, who attained enlightenment within a single lifetime. All these, these beings, when they practiced Dharma, they had same kind of form as we have now. They didn't have any different form than ours. They didn't have the body of gold or precious gems. They have the same body as we have now of the flesh and bones. So if they have different kind of body, which is made out of gold or other precious gems, and then we can say, oh, because they have this different kind of body, that's why they can attain enlightenment. We can't do that. But it's not like that. We all have same. They have same body as we have now. So therefore, since they were able to, gain enlightenment, we have also the same potential, same, seed to be able to gain enlightenment. So the body was same, the body that they had before, when they were doing practice, and the body that we have now was same. The mind, is different. Our mind is diluted, but this mind can be, changed, through purifying the delusions. So it's like when we don't do the practice in our mind, it's like the sky in the summertime, in the rainy season when the sky is filled with cloud, and you cannot see the sky very clearly. And our mind, when we don't do the practice, our mind is like that. Now our mind is like that, and it's diluted and filled with the delusions. But if we do the practice, then it can become like the sky in the autumn, when the clouds disappeared, and we can see the sky very clean and very clear. So just like that, through doing the practice, one can clear one's mind. So the reason why we should practice Dharma is that because we do not wish to have suffering, because we do not wish to have suffering. So therefore, in order to eradicate the sufferings, we have to practice Dharma. So, since we do not wish to have suffering, so therefore we should avoid the causes of suffering. So the causes of suffering are negative actions, the negative actions that bring harm to other people. Now those are the negative actions that bring harm, bring suffering to ourselves, to us, and the positive action is the cause of happiness. And through creating or accumulating positive action, one will receive happiness. And one should through also creating negative action and positive actions, one will avoid the negative actions, and that way one will experience the happiness in the future. So if one practices the Dharma very carefully and nicely, then one can eradicate the suffering, the entire suffering, not having even not having to hear even the word of suffering, and And through practice also one can achieve the real, authentic happiness, or the happiness that never changes, all the time remains the happiness.
말하고 거야 대화되고 말하고 대화이 한번 기분 유익한 거 기분 유익한 거.
So, like the happiness that we experience in this cycle existence now, that we grasp, we think that that's the real happiness. We don't think that's not happiness. We think that's the real happiness, and we cling to that.
고향은 사진 얘기도 내가 그거를 말 알았어. 그래서 내가 내가 둘이 기분이 있더라. 둘이 기분이 내가 정말 다와 둘이 있다는 거죠.
So that's like when you go, you work in your country and you earn some money, and then with that money you go to go for a tour to other countries, and you think that is the happiness. And if that is the real happiness, then you go for a tour all the time, and then you will gain happiness all the time. But that's not true. But if you go for a tour, it's not happiness all the time. But again, you will have wish to return back to your home.
So there's
and then at the time when you have wish to return back to home, that time and then then you go back to home, and then you feel very happy. You feel very happy, seeing your friends or parents, and then at that time you have happiness for some time. But then it doesn't remain happiness all the time. Again, it changes into suffering. So, all the stuff, all the happiness that we experience here in the cycle system is just like that. You feel it for happiness for some time, and then at the next moment, it changes into suffering. So, like and when at the starting of the teaching, when you came into this this hall, feel very cool and very big, nice, and then you feel kind of happiness. But when you stayed here for a long time, then you have pain all over your body, and then you start to have suffering. So it's something like that. So this is the sign that is real happiness. So there's no real happiness at all in this cycle existence. So if it's real happiness, then it should remain happiness all the time. It shows up like a happiness at the first moment, and then in the second moment it becomes suffering again. So there's so there's no samsaric happiness, or no happiness that in this cycle system which does not change into suffering at the next moment. So actually there are many kinds of suffering, but it's all combined in three kinds of suffering. And among these three kinds of suffering, we only know two kinds of suffering. So normally, when we have pain, or when we have pain and like burns, or kind of any kind of like thirst or hunger, all these kind of things, we feel like suffering. So all the happiness that we experience in the cycle existence, it appears to be happiness at the first moment, and from the next moment again it changes into suffering. So this is why it's called, this is the what's called suffering of change. And there's another third kind of suffering is called suffering, the all pervasive suffering. So this is very difficult to know as a suffering. So unless you avoid this suffering, the all pervasive suffering, you cannot be free from cycle existence. So, for, without identifying these three types of happiness and three types of suffering, one cannot practice Dharma.
한여만 없어요. 그래서 년도 그만 오기는 더 하고 나 싸워이는 나 신경을 낸다. 또 그것도 있다고 뭐 그런 생각을 하고 하고 있어요.
So those who have heard Dharma before many times, then maybe they know already these three kind of three kinds of suffering. But those who are very new, very beginner, for you, I think it's to be good to read some books also about the three types of sufferings.
근데 이제는 아무도 수업 깔려가고 쉬리 열어봐서는 근데 깔려가고 그랬어.
So in that case, is it very, very difficult, to practice Dharma? Then it's not really that difficult.
한 저번에 깔려가고 열어봐서 이렇게 지단은 안 가도 되지 가고 저와 치면 돼. 어떤 거 하다 또 두고 까먹하게 넣어야 돼. 저와 치면 돼. 못 뛰는 못 되는 거야.
So yeah, actually to gain enlightenment, to gain the state of full enlightenment, that's difficult. But to have something, good, some kind of happiness in the future life is not difficult. That can be created. The cause to have happiness, in future life can be created even within few minutes.
한 무엇이나 나도 무슨 일이라도 다가 관계된다고 말 그러니까 난 저와서만 다르고 막 그거 있는 거 먼저 받아 미게 좀 걸리지가 저 통과를 그 이렇게 와도 왜냐 그 이게 어렵다.
So actually through depending on this body, one can achieve any kind of steps. Like if one wishes to gain enlightenment, gain the state of full enlightenment, then one can achieve that through the means, through depending on this body. And if one wants to gain like higher state of gods or like like impulse, universal impulse, then one can gain through this body, and also even like human beings or like demigods and so on, one can gain through depending on this body. So you can feel comfortable by thinking that one has that power to achieve any kind of steps that one wishes to achieve. So you might think that the way where the teacher speaks, seems like there's no way to practice Dharma at all. So it's not that we haven't practiced any Dharma at all in our past lives. The sign of having practiced Dharma in our past lives is that we have obtained this body now. This body, the human body, is obtained through practicing the morality of abandoned and virtuous actions. So, by performing positive actions or good actions, in our past life that we have obtained, this body now. So by creating negative actions, we shouldn't throw ourselves into the cliff. The sign is that the sign of to check how one should check is to check that whether one has performed any whether one has done good or bad in our past life is that you can check through through the body that you have obtained now. If you have obtained good body, that means you have done good in your past life. So you don't have to check, go and check to the high lamas, and ask them to do observation for you, to check whether you will have good rebirth in the future or not. You can check within your mind. If your mind is pure and has as a positive action, you have a kind heart, then you will be born in a good state of rebirth. And if you have negative action, negative thoughts in your mind, the hatred, anger, these things, then you will have again, you will be born in a suffering state of rebirth. So if you do not have kind heart now, and you do not have good attitude now, then you should make it through practicing Dharma. So the kind heart or the good attitude or good mind should be made should make through oneself. It's not it cannot be given by others. So if you don't know how the way to make your mind mind to kind to have a kind heart or to make your actions good, then you should listen the teachings and you should read from the books, and then you will know from there. But you still have methods to apply. So when you have methods to apply, if you don't apply, then you will have to return back empty-handed. So if somebody if somebody is going to going to fetch a jewel from the ocean, and when he goes into the ocean and gets comes near the jewel, and if he goes without taking the jewel, then he will be considered as very foolish. So now we have a chance to practice Dharma and practice Dharma, and we can see how one can practice Dharma. So while having all these chances, if we do not practice Dharma, then it will be the same like the example that I've mentioned. So come on, Shasha. So we stop here for today, and that one Geshe will tell later, tomorrow maybe, next time. Today is just general talk. It's just like the structure of the teaching. Okay, so we stop here. So, as you said, that while having obtained this perfect human rebirth, if we just waste it in a meaningless way, then there's no foolish than that. So this perfect human rebirth with 18 attributes, like the 8 freedoms and 10 richnesses. So the 8 freedoms, like means like having a freedom to practice the Dharma. So there are some beings, who are not free to practice Dharma because of not being free of the body or speech or mind. But in our case, we have all this body, speech, and mind proper, and we have freedom to practice Dharma. So, as I said yesterday, that there are eight negative conditions or eight non-freedoms. So, there are, actually, as human beings, we are free from those eight negative conditions. So the eight non-freedoms are the four non-freedoms within human existence, and eight non-freedoms without outside human existence. So the four non-freedoms, without or outside the human existence is that being born as a hell being, a hungry ghost being, animal being, and a long-life God. So we are free from these four non-freedoms. Though we are born in hell realms in our past lives, but now at present we are free from those realms. So, we are free from these four non-freedoms, which is outside human existence, and so we have full chance to practice Dharma. It's just that we don't practice. But if we do, then we have the full chance to practice Dharma. And just by having obtained these freedoms, we should rejoice on that. So, we are free from these non-freedoms now, but it doesn't mean that we'll be free from these non-freedoms all the time. If we don't act in a good way now, then it's very possible that we might encounter these non-freedoms in the future. So, so therefore, we shouldn't waste our life, in a meaningless way, and should try our best not to, fall into these non-freedoms later again. So there are four. So there are four freedoms, which is within the human existence, and all of us here, we are free from that also. Though we are born as a human being, there are many human beings, also who are born in a place where there's no teaching of Dharma and teachings of Buddha can be heard, and such as like in these places, and also being born as a barbarian or uncivilized people. So being born as that, and also is non-freedom to practice Dharma. And also there's those who hold the wrong views or or do not believe in Dharma. So we are not like that, and we Dharma. So, we are all, fit, in a sound sound of health of body and both speech, and we're not like, dumb or foolish, who do not understand the Dharma. So, as I mentioned yesterday, that there are 8 negative conditions or non-freedom. So these are the ones that I mentioned yesterday, and we are all free from all these 8 negative conditions, and on top of that, we have 10 richnesses or 10 endowments. And the favorable conditions are that we're being we're born at the time when the Buddha's teaching when Buddha has come into this world. Though we cannot see Buddha directly now, but we can receive all his teaching from high lamas. So the same as receiving the teaching from the Buddha, and also we are born in the place, we can reach we are in the place where the Dharma has been flourished, and we have lived in the Dharma. So these are the favorable conditions.